All right, let's get right into it. Something huge is happening in the world of software development. We're building things faster than we ever thought possible. But, this incredible new speed has created a paradox, one that's really appealing, but also pretty dangerous. Today, we're going to break down two totally different ways of building: the fast and furious world of vibe coding versus the disciplined, almost industrial-style approach of agentic engineering.
And this, right here, is the question every single technology leader needs to be asking themselves today. What if that one thing that's supposed to make you innovate faster is actually, quietly, building up a debt so massive it could sink your entire tech budget? So how can you tell which path you're on?
Okay, so to really get a grip on this choice, we first have to wrap our heads around the paradox itself. The barrier to entry for creating software, it's basically collapsed. But that's created this hidden world of risk that doesn't show up on any balance sheet. Well, not until it's way, way too late.
So, meet the star of the show, vibe coding. This was actually Collins Dictionary's word of the year for 2025. It basically means you don't have to know Python or JavaScript anymore. You just describe the vibe, what you want, what it should feel like, and an AI generates the code for you, line by line. That huge historical cost of actually learning how to code, it's been driven down to almost zero. And this, of course, leads to what we call the sugar rush. It's this immediate, absolutely intoxicating effect. Suddenly, someone in sales can just vibe a working prototype into existence over a weekend. All your time-to-market metrics look absolutely incredible. If you're a CFO, the data is just intoxicating. Costs seem to be plummeting while your output is just skyrocketing. But here's the thing. It's all an illusion.
And this quote really gets to the heart of it. The problem isn't that vibe coding fails. It's that it works way too easily and for all the wrong reasons. See, AI models are all about probability, right? They're designed to give you the most likely, the most common answer. And in software, that's pretty much always the happy path.
And this slide just perfectly illustrates that disconnect. Vibe coding builds for that perfect scenario, the happy path, where users do exactly what you expect and systems never, ever fail. But real enterprise software, man, it lives and dies in the messy reality of edge cases. We're talking network timeouts, security attacks, messy legacy data. This is where those vibe-coded apps just start to fall apart.
So what's the hidden cost? Well, by 2025, CIOs were estimating that technical debt, the cost of having to fix stuff later because you chose the easy path now, accounted for up to 40% of the value of their entire technology estate. And that's not some theoretical number. That is a direct drag on your company's bottom line.
And that debt, it shows up in some really specific, kind of scary ways. You get velocity without comprehension, where code is being created so fast, nobody can actually understand it. You get mountains of spaghetti code when people try to jam these simple apps into their complex systems. You get new kinds of shadow IT, with non-engineers building apps that completely ignore compliance. And worst of all, you get security hallucinations, where the AI just confidently spits out code that is fundamentally dangerously insecure. So, if vibe coding is the Wild West, how do we start building a civilization? Well, the solution is a disciplined, industrial strength approach called Agentic Engineering. This is basically the industrial revolution for AI-powered software development. The key difference is right there in the definition. You're not just chatting with the bot anymore. You are orchestrating a team, a whole swarm of specialized AI agents. And each one has a specific job, a persistent memory, and it works inside this rigid framework to produce software that's actually ready for the enterprise.
And here's what that team actually looks like. First up, you've got the planner agent. It takes the business requirements and breaks them down into a technical blueprint. Then, specialized coder agents get to work executing that plan. And here's the critical part. A reviewer agent acts like a digital gatekeeper, checking all the code against your security and quality standards. And finally, a tester agent just autonomously starts generating tests to prove that the whole thing actually works.
This completely changes the role of the human. With vibe coding, you are in the loop. You're prompting every single line of code. With agentic engineering, you move on the loop. Your job gets a serious upgrade. You become the architect, the strategist, the one who governs this autonomous system, not the person just typing prompts into a chat box.
Okay, so what does this actually look like in the real world over time? Let's compare the financial outcomes of these two very different approaches, because this is where the true cost of that vibe coding sugar rush becomes painfully obvious.
This chart, man, it tells the whole story. As you can see, the vibe coding approach gives you that incredible spike in what looks like value early on. But then look what happens. The moment it hits the real world, the value absolutely plummets, crashing right into what we call the rewrite trap in about 6 to 12 months. The agentic approach, though, it starts a little slower, sure, but it builds a stable, appreciating asset that keeps delivering value, and eventually it crosses over and leaves that Vibe project in the dust.
Now, this disciplined, agentic engineering approach gets you about 80% of the raw, pedal-to-the-metal speed of vibe coding. And I know what you're thinking, but this isn't a bug, it's a feature. This is the efficient frontier. It's that sweet spot where you get most of the velocity without the catastrophic hangover of technical debt. Let's think about that differently. That missing 20% of speed, that's not a loss. It is the most valuable time you will spend. It's your investment in planning, in architecture, in governance. You know what it is? It's the insurance premium you pay to prevent a 100% write-off of your software asset down the line.
So this all leads us to the big strategic choice that every C-suite is facing right now. And make no mistake, this is not just a technical decision for the IT department. This is a fundamental financial decision about how you build value in your company.
So what can you actually do about it? Here's the playbook. First, you have to redefine what speed even means. It's not time to get the code done, it's time to reliable revenue. Next, audit the technical debt you already have from any Vibe projects. Then, invest in platforms that actually give you governance. And finally, embrace that 80% speed model as your new North Star.
The takeaway here is crystal clear, and the shift is happening right now. That wild experimental phase, it's over. If you want to build real, durable enterprise value, you need a more mature, more industrialized approach. The era of the agentic enterprise is here.
And that leaves us with one final question. And I want you to really think about this for your own organization. Take a hard look at how your teams are using AI to build software today. Are they creating a high-growth, appreciating asset for your company? Or are they basically taking out a high-interest loan against your future, building a liability that you will, one day, have to pay back? The choice is yours.